is Army Bootcamp. Before they join the United States Army, all recruits have to graduate from a 22-week program known as One Station Unit Training, also known as OSUT. It happens here at Fort Benning, a 182,000-acre military installation that straddles the Alabama-Georgia border about 100 miles southwest of Atlanta. Every year, more than 18,000 soldiers graduate before joining the more than 470,000 people actively serving in the Army.
13, 14, 15. The numbers are just so much bigger than the UK. What was that, 182,000 acre training establishment? Yeah, I can just bet ours is nowhere near the size of that. 18,000 recruits going to the army of 470,000. You know, we're cutting down to 72,000 is what we're going to have as a nation, and they've got 470,000 in their army alone, let alone Navy, RAF and Marines.
Although most of the recruits that we saw during our time there were male, recruits trained together in gender-integrated platoons.
These young men and women that volunteer to serve, they show up to us as civilians, and then we take them through a transformative process to turn them into soldiers.
So that's actually something quite new in the British Army. They used to keep women and men quite separated in their own separate platoons, and then a few years ago they brought it in. So I don't know when they brought that in with the US Army. Did you catch up a lot sooner than us, or was it, you know, last few years? Let us know in the comments section.
Just go to position of attention and you stay in position of attention.
On a rain-soaked week in February, we spent 4 days inside the Army's Maneuver Center of Excellence, which trains soldiers to serve in the infantry and armor branches. We saw different companies at various stages of training. On day one, new infantry recruits on a bus from the Atlanta airport arrive at the 30th AG Battalion headquarters, where all new recruits are received.
Listen up! You ain't got one to hear from you at this point. It's yes, drill sergeant, no, drill sergeant. Do you understand? Yes, drill sergeant! And I tell you, you will pass your folders to the front!
The minimum age to enlist in the Army is 17, and the maximum age is 35. The base salary for an entry-level private is about $20,000 a year.
Let's go!
I'd say that's all very similar. You can join at 16 if you go through the Army Foundation College, but adult entry is 17 and a few months, and then the top range is around 35 years old. They just extended it. $20,000 for us, it's around £14,000. I would say that would convert about the same.
30 seconds! Hurry up, find your bag!
Once they're off the bus, the first order of business is establishing the code of conduct.
Because I promise you, if you don't pay attention to what I'm about to tell you, you're going to make your Army career very short. You treat everybody with dignity and respect, regardless of race, religion, color, national origin, gender, sexual orientation, and all other protected categories. Yes?
Yes, drill sergeant!
Sexual assault is any unwanted physical contact in a sexual nature. So if you put your hands on another individual and you're not instructed to, or you're not saving their life, and they file a sexual assault, and it comes down that you put your hands on this individual when you weren't supposed to, that is going to be on you. You will get kicked out of the military, and then you'll probably have to file as a registered sex offender. Do you understand?
Yes, drill sergeant!
Before they go inside, the new recruits learn some basic commands and standing positions.
Hut train tight! Everyone look down at their toes. You should be able to fit a slice of pizza in between your toes. If you look around, they're gonna see you.
Cause you're taller than everyone else!
Quickly! Who wants to there?
Move your feet! Grab one and go, it's all the same!
The recruits grab the snack that's waiting for them inside, consisting of a fruit cup, sunflower seeds, a granola bar, and a juice box.
Watch the video, remain silent!
Since 1775, the Army has been the bearer of our nation's strength in every crisis or conflict. Make no mistake about it, the journey you are embarking upon will not be easy. but you wouldn't be here if we didn't think you couldn't meet the challenge.
Listen up for your last 4 year social.
After being welcomed, recruits begin what's known as processing, which can take 1 to 2 weeks before their actual training begins.
In a little bit, we're giving you a period to go in a room by yourself.
First, they're given one last chance to discreetly dispose of prohibited contraband, like...
Before we go on, someone asked me this, it takes 1 to 2 weeks to process them. To do what? Like, yeah, give us a comment below, let us know why it takes so long to process. Obviously you've got paperwork to go through and stuff like that. What actually goes on in the US Army, because we get them through in a couple of days and they're pretty much into training once they've done initial paperwork, uniform and medicals, and then they're into training. It takes 2 to 3 days for us. So up to 2 weeks you have to let us know.
Drugs, alcohol, tobacco, and inappropriate photographs.
If any photo you possess on your phone is less than a bathing suit, you will not have it. You will delete them all.
Recruits get rid of contraband in an amnesty room, where they dispose of it by throwing it down a metal chute.
Is anybody confused on what you can and cannot have?
The next morning, the recruits report to the barber shop.
Standard.
Where one barber has worked at Fort Benning for almost 60 years.
Been here ever since 1963. That's a long time. I should have been retired a long time ago, but I wake up in the morning now, I be wanting to come out here and go to work.
Recruits are issued uniforms. They receive a series of immunizations and vaccines, and get their official photo taken, along with myriad housekeeping details that fill up their 1 to 2 week stay in processing.
Still a long time.
That is until processing ends, and the time for training finally arrives.
Let's go. Grab your bags and go.
We found a company of recruits about to begin training in the armor school.
Those are bridle.
These recruits are about to be picked up and taken to their barracks, where they'll reside for the rest of their training.
Let's go. You guys are going to the front. Let's go.
This is the last chance for recruits to change their minds before training begins, like one recruit who decided to stay behind. This short bus ride from processing to their new barracks will be the most peaceful moments these recruits will experience for a while. What happens next is known as the shark attack.
I've heard of this before.
Run! At no time will you walk! You will run! Everyone you freaking go! Go! Run! Run! Did they say what? Get your bags up right now! Get your bags up! This way! Let's go! You're a tough guy! Don't move! Do something! Do something! That's what I thought! Why are you still not understanding? He just said it!
Well, it's really just a little shock to the system, so we can break them down to build them back up. We're breaking a lot of habits from the civilian world, and nothing better than a little shock to the system to establish that that drill sergeant is in charge to let us start our training.
Pick up your bag and hold it!
The recruits spend much of the shark attack holding their heavy rucksacks above their heads.
Right. Yeah, I remember seeing something like this in the Marine video I did. That is a lot of whistling, shouting, screaming, and a lot of shock, as if you say, is going on. I feel like it's too much. I think the British Army can be too soft. That's too much. There's got to be a happy medium. You know, I appreciate, yeah, shock them, break them down, build them back up so you can turn them into the soldier you want them to be. I feel that's too much. They've also been there 2 weeks. I don't know what they do in that 2 weeks, but it sounds like a lot of paperwork stuff. And then you're going to have a standing there with a heavy bag above their head for God knows how long. Running along with 2 bags on them, you know, it can cause injuries later on in life, later on in the career. You haven't built them up gradually. Screaming and shouting at some point doesn't have an effect in my eyes, and I know a lot of people will agree with that. US Army obviously think it works. I think it's too much. I think it needs to be a little bit less, and the British Army needs to come up But yeah, that's my opinion. But yeah, let us know what you think in the comment section. It'll be really interesting.
Which takes a physical toll.
Why is that so difficult? You can't pick that bag up. You decided to join the army and you can't pick
just
that
gonna
bag
injure themselves.
Right side back, right side back.
Look at his face. Okay.
After about 20 minutes, the intensity begins to subside. And the drill sergeant's tone changes
We only produce the best soldiers in the United States Army.
before training officially begins. After the shock and awe of the shark attack, things do appear to calm down.
Is it a video?
It's a movie.
Alpha 347. I always wanted to be a star.
We found this group of infantry soldiers in week 11 of their training, practicing on the firing range.
Nice. That's what we like
The
to
mood
do.
was much more relaxed,
Try to get 8 up on my level.
and their conversations with their drill sergeants are conducted at normal volumes. Like when this drill sergeant educated the recruits on the meaning of the military expression, 8 up.
Is a piece of 8 up gum good? You don't want something that's 8 up, right? You want something fresh. You break the seal, it smells like olive oil, right? Okay.
That dynamic changes because we want the soldiers to become more critical thinkers. At that point, we are turning into more coaches and mentors. We dial it back a little bit, so we don't want them frightened. We want them to be comfortable and in a state of mind that is receptive to learning and performing at that level.
Up to 241 hours of infantry OSIT are devoted to marksmanship,
That's good.
where recruits fire about 2,500 rounds using the M4 carbine, as well as the M249 squad automatic weapon, or SAW.
We create lethality. We create expert marksmen at their individual weapons because as an infantry soldier, that's what we're asking them to do.
Recruits get one of the most painful parts of training out of the way
Love it.
early.
This.
Once we check your seal, you will not touch your pro mat.
This group of infantry recruits was exposed to CS gas, or tear gas, in week 1 of their training.
You're going to continue to file in until we tell you to stop. You're going to place your back against the wall.
The recruits spend about 5 minutes inside the gas hut.
So, quick question. Do you not have any like extensions for chin straps? And is there like no suits, or is it this just like an exposure sort of thing? I might see it later on in the film, but they've literally just gone in a uniform with some respirators on. Seen that many a times.
Upon exiting the gas hut, the recruits are told to flap their arms like birds to remove excess gas from their uniforms. According to a drill sergeant, the effects of the gas begin to wear off after about 4 minutes. Some training moves indoors, like combatives, where recruits learn hand-to-hand self-defense tactics.
We're trying to teach them to achieve a dominant body position. So get out of one negative position and then switch roles so they end up having the upper hand in the fight.
During combatives training, recruits warm up with a particularly painful-looking exercise, referred to as the EO. While laying on their backs, they have to engage their core to wiggle across the entire room.
They use their momentum, shoulder blades, their core to help them create space, warm up the body.
Recruits work up a major appetite during training. But Fort Benning is big, and they're not always within range of the dining facility. When they're training in the field, recruits are issued MREs, which stands for Meal Ready to Eat. Each comes with an entree, like this vegetarian pasta with taco sauce, along with an assortment of items like mixed fruit, an energy bar, and this instant French vanilla cappuccino. Recruits just add water, shake it up, and enjoy. Once they're fortified, recruits return to their training. Recruits spend up to 60 hours in training known as MOUT, which stands for Military Operations in Urban Terrain.
Door left, door left.
One man calls door left.
Infantrymen are expected to fight in different types of terrain and survive and win the fight. Right now, they are getting their first taste of what that's like in an urban environment.
Rolling T. All right, coming up.
in operations across Afghanistan, Iraq. We are conducting clearance operations, and it's applicable wherever we go.
Boom.
It's important for the future soldiers' muscle memory because they are working as a team with minimal communication, and they have to understand how that coordination works together.
Do it again.
After 22 weeks of training, these infantrymen are ready to leave Fort Benning. Friends and family gather to watch their soldiers graduate on NOA Field.
They look like soldiers, they act like soldiers, they're carrying their head high. I have trainees that were not alive when 9/11 happened. I think that's pretty powerful, that I still can find American citizens that want to volunteer to serve their country when we continue to ask them to go to combat.
These new infantrymen don't have long to greet their loved ones.
Get on the bus!
Or say goodbye to their friends before leaving Fort Benning to begin their service in the United States Army.
So yeah, that's actually quite a bit different to how some of the UK do it. I've never been through infantry training up in Gatwick. I sort of know what it's like. The processing's different. 1 to 2 weeks is a lot longer. They don't really do the shark attack. You know, that's definitely something that the Americans do and we don't. We may have done it years ago, but no more. It's quite calm and relaxed now, and they sort of ease them into it. The training's most probably very similar. You're going to do your ranges, urban warfare, you're going to go out into the rural ground, you're going to go into harbours, hides, practicing your ambushes and CBRNs. Same question, they didn't have CBRN suits, they literally just went in with a mask and helmet, respirator and helmet. So if you can comment below with that and what goes through the processing. The rest is all very similar, but it's all, they're still like very rigid and strict with the Americans, as I think we're a little bit more relaxed. At the end, the pass off was actually a little bit more relaxed than I thought it was going to be. They were in uniform, we do it in our number 2s, it's a very big parade. You know, maybe you have like a smarter dress in the American Army, like a 2s, 1s. I thought you would have done it in that. And then they're straight on the bus and off. As normally within the UK, you normally get like a week or 2's leave. You go home, see friends, family, and then you go off to your next stage of training, phase 2, or into regiment. So yeah, a few things are different. Obviously the training's pretty similar. Infantry training in the army is longer, it's longer than 22 weeks. But our basic soldier training, so if you're going to like another trade, engineers, REME, artillery, signals, anything like that, RLC, is actually only around 12 to 14 weeks unless you go through Harrogate. So still a lot of differences, but still similarities in what the Americans and the British do nowadays. Our rations are getting very close to what the Americans are like, food wise. Our uniform was getting very similar, it's sort of taking a little detour off again. Our fitness tests are very similar. So yeah, let us know what you think, comment below, let us know if you enjoyed the video, and I will see you soon. Cheers.